You know how life loves to keep you on your toes. You think you've got things mapped out, and then boom, a totally unexpected turn.
Oh, absolutely. And that feeling, it gets dialed way up when you step outside your comfort zone, your normal surroundings.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really what we're digging into today, isn't it? This whole idea of flexibility.
Precisely. We're exploring it through some really fascinating firsthand accounts, diaries, and reflections from someone working down in Honduras.
Right, we've got these diary entries, lots of detail about daily life there, and also these reflections on mission trips. It sounds like navigating everything was an adventure.
Definitely. Transportation, language, plans, just constantly shifting.
That feeling that your carefully made plans are maybe not quite going to happen as you expected.
Mm-hmm. That's the core of it.
Yeah.
So our mission today, if you like, is to understand just how vital flexibility is when things go sideways.
And maybe how those unexpected challenges can actually lead to surprising things, deeper understanding maybe.
Exactly. Seeing what emerges when you have to adapt.
Okay, let's dive in. The daily life in Honduras, based on these entries from the late 90s, early 2000s, getting around sounds like quite something.
It really does. I mean, the first thing that jumps out is just the unpredictability.
Right.
You read about these super bumpy roads, slow going, and then suddenly you're in this like chaotic city traffic.
With drivers who sound pretty fearless.
Yeah, and the sort of unwritten rule mentioned, if there's an accident involving a foreigner, a gringo,
It's kind of assumed to be their fault because they're out of their element.
seems to be the idea. It's a different perspective on road etiquette, shall we say.
Definitely a different perspective. And basic errands, like shopping. Sounds like a whole expedition.
Totally. Trying to find things, the language barrier, that little story about mixing up Jabon and Jamin.
It's open ham, you can just picture it. Hilarious, but probably frustrating at the time.
It really highlights how routine things become major tasks. And then there's this theme of elusive progress.
Ah, yeah. The story about the truck, the Army-style truck that broke down.
Mm-hmm. And the worker just waiting. For hours. 8 hours, apparently, by the roadside for one part.
8 hours
Yeah.
just waiting. Wow. It really makes you think about our own sense of, urgency.
It does. And linked to that, the 10-hour round-trip drive to San Pedro Sula, just to get a small part for a generator.
Which sounds like it happened pretty often. The logistics must have been, immense.
Absolutely immense. It really throws the differences in infrastructure and access into sharp relief.
And that feeling carries over into the clinic work described, doesn't it? That sense of maybe having a limited impact sometimes.
Very much so. You encounter patients with these really chronic conditions, arthritis, stomach problems, skin issues.
Things directly linked to the tough living conditions, right? Decades of hard physical work.
Exactly. Like the diary mentions 85 years swinging a machete, 70 years hauling firewood. I mean, can you imagine the toll?
It's hard to comprehend. And that observation about the little boy in town protecting parked cars.
Yeah, for a few coins, it's stark. The question posed, where does one go upward from parking lot extortion? That really hits home, doesn't it?
It really does. Just the vastly different realities people face.
Yeah. And the diary also draws this really interesting contrast in medical care.
Right, comparing Honduras around 2000 with the U.S. back in 1969.
It's eye-opening. Treating pneumonia in the U.S. in '69 meant x-rays, full labs, hospital admission, standard stuff, really.
But in Honduras in 2000, no x-ray, basic labs,
Yeah.
and the hospital wasn't even built yet, so no admission possible.
That's a huge gap in capability, even setting aside the 40-year time difference, and then you add the tougher living conditions impacting health.
Yeah, it paints a challenging picture. The diary also mentions things like no 4th of July, frequent power outages, just a different daily rhythm.
A fundamentally different existence. And the workload on the clinic staff. Judy's example, nurse, social worker, teacher, lab tech, pharmacist.
Translator, cook, all before lunch sometimes. It's incredible.
It shows the immense need and the dedication of the people there. Then there's the description of the main hospital in La Ceiba.
Oh yeah, that sounded pretty dire. Dilapidated, lacking basic equipment.
Just one working blood pressure cuff mentioned for the whole place. Families having to source their own medications.
Wow. It really drives home why that new hospital in Balfate was so crucial.
Absolutely. And all these challenges, this constant need to adapt, it brings us to that interesting idea about preparation versus flexibility.
Right. They aren't opposites, are they? They kind of need each other.
Exactly. It's a both-and situation. And that youth group puppet show story from Guatemala City, it illustrates it perfectly.
Oh, that was classic. They prepared everything meticulously, right? Rehearsals, sound system working.
Kids already excited.
Yeah.
But no puppets. They forgot the actual puppets.
You just can't make this stuff up. Months of work, and the key ingredient is missing.
But here's the thing. They didn't freeze. They improvised.
Switch to games, right? Soccer, tag.
Yeah, and the kids apparently had a fantastic time, totally unaware anything was amiss.
That's brilliant. So the lesson is prepare like crazy, but expect the unexpected.
Exactly. Be ready for anything, have a plan B, and be willing to just wing it if you have to. Sometimes those pivots work out surprisingly well.
It really speaks to the value of stepping outside that comfort zone. These kinds of trips inherently force you to.
For sure. Simple things like grocery shopping or getting your oil changed, stuff we do without thinking, suddenly become complex.
Especially with language barriers and just different ways of doing things.
Absolutely. And there was that powerful quote mentioned in the source.
Ah, yes, about not trying to do something you can accomplish by yourself.
Right. Try the impossible. Then if it comes to pass, you know that you've seen God working. It captures that mindset of needing to rely on something beyond just your own plans and abilities.
That really resonates. And it connects to that feeling mentioned of sometimes feeling like you achieved not much in a day.
Because just the basics, just surviving in that environment can take up all your time and energy.
Like that detailed day described. Power outages, generator trouble, water issues.
Travel delays, unexpected errands. Yeah, the activities of daily living, ADLs, can literally consume the entire day. Things we barely notice here.
It's a real lesson in perspective, isn't it? But then the narrative suggests these hindrances, these setbacks, can sometimes be blessings.
Yeah, it's a fascinating twist. That idea that obstacles might actually contribute to the mission's success in the long run.
Like the YMOM team at the border in Honduras.
Exactly. They had all their ducks in a row, authorization for their medical supplies, and customs confiscated them anyway.
Oh man, the frustration must have been immense. All that prep, seemingly down the drain.
And then that difficult trip to the capital,
Yeah.
Tegucigalpa, to get it sorted out. Night driving, bad roads, poor headlights. Sounds stressful.
Hugely stressful. You just feel totally derailed.
Right, but the unexpected outcome of that delay was actually positive.
How so?
Well, it gave the team more unplanned time with the Pesh Indians they were there to serve.
Ah, so they could build more trust, connect on a deeper level.
Exactly. They did a community health survey, built rapport, and apparently the environment became much more receptive to their work later on. Even the village leader came around.
Wow. So the roadblock actually paved the way for a better outcome. That's quite something.
It really is a
Yeah.
powerful example of needing that flexibility and wider perspective. But it's not just about pushing through hardship either, is it? There's also the need for rest.
Definitely. That story about the spontaneous river swim after a really hot, tiring hike.
Yeah. Just an unplanned moment of fun that completely changed the mood, broke the monotony.
We need those moments, right?
Yeah,
But planned rest is important too.
absolutely. The example from the church building trip in Chile really shows that.
They were tempted to just work straight through Sunday, weren't they? To get the job done faster.
Very tempted. But they chose to observe the Sabbath, take the day off.
And it turned out to be beneficial.
Yeah, in multiple ways. It was a good witness to the local community, and the team came back refreshed and actually more productive afterward.
So taking that pause, even when you're driven, can actually help you achieve more in the end.
It often does. It's about sustainability, not just sprinting.
Right. And speaking of the unexpected, that story about the U.S. ambassador's visit, that's just wild.
Isn't it? It sounds like fiction, a mysterious note on torn paper.
Which they initially thought was a joke, right?
Understandably.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, U.S. Army helicopters descend, and the ambassador pops out for an impromptu visit.
Just unreal. And his explanation was apparently quite casual.
Yeah, just sort of matter of fact about why he dropped in. It just hammers home how unpredictable things can be out there.
And how you need to be ready for, well, anything.
It definitely ties back to that idea of being ready always to give an answer for the reason of the hope that is in you. You never know who you'll encounter or when.
Very true. Then the tone shifts quite dramatically, moving to the Rwandan refugee crisis in '94.
Yeah, a truly harrowing situation. The diary touches on the horrific genocide and the massive displacement of people into camps like Kimbumba.
Just unimaginable suffering.
Absolutely. But even amidst that darkness, there are these moments of unexpected connection and insight.
Like the refugees offering to help in the clinic, despite everything they were going through.
Yes, multilingual people stepping up to translate and assist. It's incredibly moving, shows that human desire to contribute, even in the worst circumstances.
He really does. And that encounter with Brother John, the pastor.
Mm. Leading a group who had endured so much, facing starvation. And his message wasn't about their physical needs, primarily.
No, it was a call to repent, fast, and pray.
Which must have been incredibly humbling to hear, coming from someone in his position. It offered this profound spiritual perspective amidst utter devastation.
A powerful reminder about what truly matters, perhaps, even in the darkest times.
Exactly, a perspective shift.
So wrapping this up, the big takeaway seems to be that flexibility isn't just about handling small changes of plan. It's much bigger than that.
It really is. It's about navigating huge challenges, finding those unexpected positives, and seeing the importance of connection, perspective, maybe even faith when facing the unknown.
Yeah, life is unpredictable, and being ready to adapt, to improvise seems, well, essential.
It's a key survival skill, maybe even a thriving skill.
So final thought for you listening.
Yeah.
How can you maybe practice being a bit more flexible in your own life?
And what good things might actually come from embracing the unexpected rather than resisting it.
Maybe think about a time when a setback actually led to something good you didn't anticipate. It might change how you look at the next detour life throws your way.